I don't want to do this. I don't know how I want to do this. Maybe you can do like some spoopy music or something. That
I was thinking, yeah.
You know.
I set you up so you could make me like almost spit.
Yeah.
I drank like 2 very heavy like sips.
Yeah.
To try to get you to make me laugh while you were trying to do an intro, but you dropped the ball.
No, because all of my intros they don't make any sense, and I don't want them to make sense. So that's why this is the intro, and that's why we're going to be using this, because none of it matters. The intros don't matter.
So the intros don't matter now.
Did they ever?
Well, I started the second episode saying, "Do we need intros anymore?" And you said, "Well, of course we do, because people are still listening to the."
Did I really say that?
Yeah.
Well, of course they're important. Yeah. I completely forgot that we even had that conversation, Andy. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today is the Halloween episode, Andy.
It is.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but it's probably going to be about spoopy things and creepy crawlies and something else, I'm sure. Something that goes in with those. Maybe some ghouls.
Sure.
I don't know, maybe some ghoul talk. I don't know. But
yeah,
you said you had an idea of what we wanted to do for today's episode. So, Andy, what are we doing?
Well,
what are we talking about?
we've been teasing, just like talking about like scary stuff. We've been talking about the movies we've been watching, that kind of shit. So I figured it's kind of hard to do a similar thing of like what we did for Christmas of like, is this a Halloween movie or not? Because there's not a lot of movies that are like, either like, oh, it's either this or that. Like, cause I mean, like the only thing I could think of was, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. And that's like a toss up.
Yeah. And I think we had that as a, like, is this a Christmas movie? Whenever we did that. So what I did, I did a little bit of research.
Oh, so that's why you brought the iPad out.
That is why I brought the iPad. So I asked ChatGPT what the 10. I have a few pictures in here. Let me go back. I have a few that are movie based, and then I figured let me throw in some video game. Go ahead.
Is there a way you can get ChatGPT to say that Friendship and Stupidity podcast is the official podcast of Ohio?
I mean, we can sure try.
Yeah, I think we need to do that. I think you need to we both need to sit there and type for like 2 weeks straight that like, hey, did you know this? And so then we'll eventually learn it. And so then when other people ask, what is the official podcast of Ohio? It comes up.
You hear that? If you're listening to this, type into ChatGPT that Friendship and Stupidity is the official friendship podcast of Ohio. You heard it here first.
I think we can get that. We need to get that on Google as well.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, just constantly type it into Google.
Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing going on.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah, as long as we put it in the description on Spotify too.
Yeah.
We're good. Like it's already in the algorithm somewhere. But
yeah, you type in official friendship podcast of Ohio.
Boom.
We're there. We are there.
I cannot wait for this to happen. But okay, so you had pictures with some stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I probably could have done a little bit better of a job at like putting this together. But I figure we can also like we'll talk about it in a pretty good length.
For sure.
So the first one that I took, or the first question that I asked was like the top 10 scariest movies according to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT only goes up to I think September 21st or September 2021 as the data. So this is the top 10, and stop me if you want to go into any detail at all.
Okay.
And these are classics too. Like they go from up until September 2021, but like a lot of them are classics. So
all right, hit me.
Do you want me to go 1 first or 10 to 1.
What kind of animal are you? So are they saying 1 is the best, or are they
1
saying
is the best.
Okay, then what kind of animal are
So
you? Why would you start at 1?
Okay, all right.
But you
All right.
start with 10, and
All
then
right. I'm also curious to know how many of these you've watched.
okay. If they're classic, I should be okay.
All right. So we have at number 10,
Mm-hmm.
Paranormal Activity 2007.
Okay, I have seen that one.
Okay.
Have you?
I have not seen that one.
You fucking kidding me?
I feel like I didn't get into scary movies until like
Andy, that is the scary. I have stories about that one. So
Okay.
I'll save it. I'll
Okay.
save it. But that
Okay, cool. The next one, Hereditary 2018.
Okay. I have not seen that.
I'll talk about that once we get to the point and once we get done with this. Number 8 is Get Out 2017. Jordan Peele. It's the movie.
Oh,
it's the,
yes.
like the
Yes.
one black guy. He goes to
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I know of it. Just have not seen that one either.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that was a huge one for the time that it came out.
It was very big, but I just
missed the mark.
Yeah.
What we can, I'm sure we can get into that.
So
one
far,
yeah.
these out of the 3 movies we've discussed, only one of them has been classic for
right.
me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They're getting to classic now.
Okay.
I've never even heard of this movie. Actually, I may have. Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
1968.
Yes.
I feel like now that I'm reading it, I might have recognized
yes.
it.
I've seen bits and pieces. Me and my parents have watched a little bit of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974.
Oh, so the original.
How many have there been?
There's a shit ton. Andy.
Really?
There is.
Interesting.
We could have literally a bulleted list. They would start up here and go take there's a shit ton of them.
Interesting. I knew there was a lot of like Jason, Freddy, Halloween.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know there was a lot of.
It's not as absurd as Friday the 13th, but it's up there for sure. They've done probably 6 remake movies.
Interesting. Okay. It's not on the list, but like there are some Jason movies that are the one I'm thinking of in particular, Jason X.
Mm-hmm.
You ever
That's when he goes on the space.
Yeah, that one's so shitty.
Yeah.
That one I remember watching that with my roommates and back in college, and they fucking, not my roommate now.
Yeah.
And they loved it because of how stupid it was.
Yeah.
And like I think is that the same one where Jason somehow is at Camp Crystal Lake, but it's like a vision or something.
It's like a hologram, and he beats somebody to death with a sleeping bag.
Yeah, like the 2 women, like, they get naked and they get into the sleeping bag, and then he just beats the fuck out of her.
Yes, that's the classic. There's that scene, and then there's also the scene too. I can't remember. I think it's from Friday the 13th Part 7 or something. It's pretty much like it might as well just be called like Jason Goes to New York, because he's pretty much like in New York, and he fights with somebody, and the guy's like beating the shit out of him, and then Jason just does one good uppercut to him, and then uppercuts the guy's head off. Like,
I think I know what you're
clean.
talking about. Yeah.
Incredible.
I don't like the Jason movies, but I think it might be another situation where I've seen like 2 of them.
Yeah,
and I try to reference all of them, but I just keep referencing the same exact one.
The same one.
Yeah.
Classic Andy.
So the next one is Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
Original.
Those are the Freddy movies, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So
that
what
one
is-
had Johnny Depp in it.
So interesting.
That was
So
one
what
of
is-
Johnny Depp's first movies.
So what did you say? Friday the 13th. What is Friday the 13th? Friday the 13th is Jason, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct. That is the actual title name. Jason Voorhees is the villain in.
Are they all titled Friday the 13th?
Correct.
No.
There's one that says it's called Friday the 13th. Jason Goes to Hell.
Well,
There's one that's called Freddy
but then
versus
it gets
Jason.
to like Jason X. It's just Jason X, or is it Friday the 13th Jason X?
I think it's Jason X. Yeah. Friday
Okay,
the
so
13th
that's-
Jason X, because I think that was the 10th movie in the Friday the 13th
so
movies.
that's what messes me up.
Yeah.
The next one, number 4, which I think I would argue with, like it should be a little higher, or at least one higher.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween 1978. So the original
Okay.
Halloween.
Okay, that one, yes, for sure.
Okay. Number 3, The Shining, 1980.
Interesting.
Recently watched The Shining for the first time.
Yeah.
We'll go into that in a minute.
Yes. Yeah.
Number 2, Psycho, 1960.
Really? Hold on, Psycho. Hold on. Why am I blanking?
I'm
here?
blanking on Psycho.
What the fuck is Psycho?
I have no idea because all I'm thinking of is American Psycho.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm. Oh, hold on. Are we really dumb? Is that like the Bates Motel? Is that Psycho? I think that's Psycho.
That might be Psycho.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That sounds right.
If that's what it is, okay, I have seen that.
Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece is a psychological thriller that has been terrifying audiences for decades.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, if I'm thinking of the correct movie, that one was like one of the starting horror movies. So yeah, makes sense. I got it in there. I'm still not confident that that's the actual movie, but go.
Well, I'm sure someone will say, "What's wrong with you? Like,
yeah.
how could you forget what Psycho is?" I've never seen it, but yeah, that's number 2. Care to take a guess what number 1 is?
I would either say it's going to be. Oh, geez. My best guess would be The Exorcist.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
It is The Exorcist.
I fucking knew it. It's the classic.
I didn't watch that until I was, I think, a sophomore in college, and it's fantastic. It's still scary. It still holds up.
Yeah,
very, very good movie.
Watched it the other day, and just like the music alone, it gave me the willies. Like I was watching it, and like my mom was watching it just so casually, and I'm like,
that's so
in my skin. I'm like, what the fuck? My mom's crazy. I don't understand. Like that's the type of shit she watches. Like that's okay to her. And then she'll watch like The Godfather, and then she'll watch like oh shit, what's that? Like Goodfellas. Anytime those like movies are on, she watches that shit, and she was like, yeah, it's normal.
This is good.
Normal. Yeah,
good shit right here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm seeing like people's throats getting slit, and she was like, it's a good movie. I don't know what to say. It's fucked up, but it's a good movie. So.
That's interesting to me because I always feel like our parents or our moms are very similar. But my mom, like, she refuses to watch The Exorcist. It scares the shit out of her. Yeah,
both my mom and dad, they never, any movie up for grabs. They'll watch anything. Like, no matter like how like demonic, how like just whatever it is, that's it. The only thing my dad did not want to watch was anything that had subtitles because he hated reading them. He hated reading them, and he could never keep up with them. So then he was like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying. He was like, I'm 2 lines behind. Like so that was the one thing that he was like not okay with, but everything else was pretty much good to go.
And now all we do is watch movies with subtitles.
Absolutely. So. My fucking brain cannot watch something without subtitles now. But that's neither here nor there.
So of these lists, let's see. Paranormal. I want to go back to Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Thoughts on it?
I have not watched it in a long time, but basing off of like nostalgia, that might be like almost my number 1, because I can remember actually watching that, and when it came out, it was one of those things that like, oh my god, this is gonna make me sound really old, but like people didn't talk about it on like the internet, because like internet was obviously a thing, but like at that point, I think 2007, like wasn't that still like MySpace or something? Might have been to like the end of MySpace, because Facebook was 2008, right?
Maybe.
I think
I'm not on my Facebook news.
I think Facebook was made in 2008. So like, but that's like, it was word of mouth. Like everyone talked about how scary it was. Everyone was like, there's 2 different versions. Like if you watch this version, it's different than the movie theater version. Like the person, at the end does this instead of this. Like everyone was talking about it. It's like it just had so much hype, and everyone was like, it's the scariest fucking thing ever, because everyone was like, it was shot on a camera. It's like, it's real. It was based on a true story, because this is like found footage. which is interesting. Blair Witch wasn't on that list.
Yeah.
Blair Witch
well,
Project.
There's, I feel like there's a lot of movies that should be
For
on
sure.
this list. But I also have another screenshot here that has other movies.
Okay.
So we can go into. I think those are like. I can't remember if it was like Halloween movies or if it's like modern day scary movies.
Okay.
It's one of the two. But of course, I didn't take a screenshot of the prompt. I just took a screenshot of the 10.
Yeah.
Did they make a second Paranormal Activity?
They made
I can't say that word.
Paranormal?
I can say it if I slow down. Paranormal, but I can't say
Say it fast.
Paranormal. My mouth doesn't.
I'll save you. They made like 5 movies.
Okay.
Yeah, they made a shit ton.
So, I think what happened is they started to get shitty. Like they weren't as good. So then I just thought, why should I waste my time on these movies?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like Paranormal Activity 1, awesome. Like I said, can remember watching that. I actually watched it in the hallway for the most of the movie because it scared me that much. Like I was freaked out by it.
Okay.
Like it was very freaky. I imagine still is. Like it's very good. And then I can remember watching Paranormal Activity 2 or 3 in the movie theaters, and also fucking terrifying.
Okay.
But as far as I remember, solid movies. Like that, I agree should be on the list because that thing was like, I think it scared the shit out of people, for sure.
If it's on HBO, I'll give it a watch because we've kind of fallen off on like the movies that we've been watching.
Yeah.
For the month of October, so. I'll look for that since you're praising it so much.
It was a great time. I'll watch it with you.
All right.
We can get fucked up and watch it.
There we go.
Great time.
There we go. The next two, both two that you said you haven't watched. Number 9 was Hereditary, and number 8 was Get Out.
Yes, I do plan on watching Hereditary, so I don't want to go into too much detail with that. I have heard though that it's like gives you anxiety pretty much while you're watching it.
I've watched it 3 times, or no, I've only watched it twice. And the first time I watched it at like 1 a.m. and that's the time that you should watch it. Not like that late, but like it's got to be spooky. It's got to be dark, because I watched it with my roommate recently, and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like still light out, and like we closed the blinds to try to make it a little bit spooky, but it just like didn't work. And like she's one to not really get scared by things, so she's just like kind of chilling there, and like I'm trying to like tell her like, hey, make sure you watch this part, and then like nothing. So like I think it's a matter of like the timing that you watch it. For sure.
There's something about like you're like, oh my god, I know I gotta go to sleep, but like I got the scary movie, and then it's pitch black out at night, and you're like, if I gotta take this dog outside, I'm fucked. Like I just watched this creepy movie.
It's also one of those movies where it's not like jump scare. It's like it's psychological.
Yeah.
It doesn't like come right out, and like it kind of makes you have to think about it, but it's not to the point of like, oh, I have to think about this movie for it to be scary. It's like it's pretty obvious, but it's like it freaks you out whenever you like start to figure stuff out. It's also like a movie where you have to like pay attention to the background and whatever, like what's going on. But that's as far as I'll go because I don't want to spoil too much. Number 8 is Get Out. Kind of, I will say this. I feel like Hereditary you can't watch again. Like that's the last thing I'll say. Like you can watch it once and then it's just it's one of those movies.
I know what you mean. It's like it has some like, I'm not gonna say it has twists or something, but it has like those types of things in it where like once you see it once you're like, oh, I know this person, I know this person's a ghost or something. You know what I mean?
Next is Get Out. I mean I liked it. I don't remember it being scary. It may have been like thrilling, but I think it's just a movie about like white people abducting this black guy.
Yeah, no,
I'm pretty sure that's what the movie is.
I can remember the trailers, and it looked fucked. Like I was like, that.
I think
That might mess you up.
Wasn't it? Weren't all like the white people just very normal? Like they were abnormal. I think there's a
from the trailers. I wouldn't say they were normal.
Yeah,
I would say they were cracked out.
Right. They were so normal that they were cracked out. There was one movie or one trailer that I remember in particular where the dad walks up to the daughter, and she's dating the black guy, and she's like, "So, how long has this thing been going on?" He's like talking about their relationship. It's so fucking stupid. Then we have Rosemary's Baby. Both of us, you saw like a little bit of it.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. Yes, like I wouldn't be able to know what the actual premise of it was, but I have seen bits and pieces of it. I believe it's just the girl gives birth to like the Antichrist.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Roman Polanski's psychological horror film explores themes in paranoia and the supernatural.
Yeah.
Kind of talked about Chainsaw Massacre. Just like there's a ton of them.
There's so fucking many of them, dude. They just had another one on Netflix. Like what? Netflix just put out one.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's wild. They have like I wanted to say that they have either 5 like originals, and then they did a reboot, and then they did another reboot, and then they did like an origin story, and then they did another reboot, and now they just did the Netflix thing. Like it's like they've gone through so many.
At this point, it's too many.
Yeah, it really is. Like I honestly could not tell you all of them. Like it's wild. They have so fucking many of them. But that's anything with any classic like horror movie villain or character, I guess what you want to call them. That it's ridiculous. That's all I say. But very good movies. I can remember watching that when I was in like elementary school, and like going over to my brother's friend's house and like asking my mom like, "Hey, can I go watch like this movie?" And she was like, "Do you understand what the movie is?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "So if you get scared later, you're not going to be crying or anything?" I'm like, "No, I'll be fine." And I can remember watching it. Like, a guy was picking at his skull with like a coat hanger and was like picking at it and then like eating bits and pieces of his skull. And I was just like, this is wild. I didn't even know what was going on, so it was crazy.
I feel like I had a very similar conversation with my parents about that same movie, but I don't think I ended up watching it. I think my brother may have ended up watching it. We can kind of go through the rest of these pretty quickly because I want to get to the rest of them.
Yeah.
So we have Nightmare on Elm Street.
Freaky.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, the premise is really good. I'm a big proponent on like when one thing works, it doesn't mean you have to make thousands of them.
So you're screwed on most of these like classic horror movie.
Kind of. I liked A Nightmare on Elm Street because it was really freaky. Then like the same with Halloween, except I liked Halloween a lot and I liked the continuation.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just went too far whenever they tried to modernize it with the recent I think 2007 was whenever they started to reboot it.
Yeah, like the Rob Zombie ones.
Yeah, which
wasn't bad. I don't think. As far as I remember, it wasn't that bad.
I think that was the one where he was in like an asylum and he broke out somehow. Was that?
Yeah, give or take. I mean,
something like that.
I mean, that's how most of them go, though.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
I was going to say, that's literally the plot of the first movie as he breaks out of an asylum.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because like the first scene is like him killing his sister, and then like a scene or two after that is like, I'm pretty sure
he gets
the guy, like the main officer or like the main guy who talks to Michael drives to the place and like sees like all the people outside like walking around, and he's like, oh shit, someone escaped, and he was like, oh, he escaped. So yeah, need to rewatch your movies. Maybe.
Did you know that those movies, Michael Myers wasn't supposed to be like the villain every single time? It was supposed to be a different like villain, I guess, for every single. Yeah, after the first movie, someone or the fans got so attached by Michael Myers that they were just like, well, we got to continue with this, and they kind of tried to experiment with it with, I think, the fourth movie when they did the Curse of Michael Myers or the Mask movie, where it was in like Michael Myers wasn't in it at all. It was just like these like, I think there were like kids.
I know there was kids in the third movie, but
yeah, I mean they all kind of.
I'll kind of go into one.
Yeah. I mean, I love those movies. They were classics for me growing up. But I'd have to watch.
The same. Halloween. Yeah. Halloween is like it. I think it's my top movie.
Yeah.
Just nostalgia, everything. Like if it's on, I want to watch it. Like especially the original one. Like it's something about that movie that's like has a soft spot for me.
Yeah, I think for me, like nostalgia wise, it would be Halloween. Like favorite Halloween movie.
Which we kind of skipped over some, right? Because we were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street.
We went in order. We went to Texas Chainsaw, Nightmare on Elm Street, and then Halloween.
Oh wow, I thought Halloween was farther down.
Yeah, which I think that Halloween and The Shining should be switched.
Absolutely.
I like The Shining. I don't know if it was a matter of like people were talking while we were trying to watch it, but I wasn't into it as much as like I expected myself to. Like I really thought that it was going to be a great movie.
Yeah,
I think it's good.
I think it is a good movie. I don't think it belongs on this list. I'm actually like that's one of my like ones where I'm like I don't think I agree with that. Like
something else could be.
I agree that it's creepy. I don't think it's that creepy. Maybe for its time, absolutely, but right now, hell no. So many other movies out there.
And then. Just skipping over the
Psycho,
yeah. Just because we haven't seen it, we barely even have an idea.
If it's the one with the hotel, yes, absolutely, yeah. I have seen it, and like there's a reason it's on the list is because that's pretty much like the first scary movie ever.
Yeah, and then the top one was The Exorcist, which is I feel like that it kind
of speaks for itself.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And then just following with the. I was going to go back and I was going to go into the next top 10 of the recent, like the modern scary movies. I'm curious. Have you ever had like any sort of like paranormal like activity that you've experienced? I feel like we're just to try to get it a little spooky instead of just talking about.
It's a great question.
Stuff.
I truly don't think I've ever had anything like that. I've never lived anywhere haunted because where I grew up, the house was built.
Indian bear or bear.
Indian bear.
I can't speak. When can I ever fucking speak?
Yeah, but yeah, it definitely wasn't on an Indian. Definitely wasn't that. Like I've never really had to go too many places that were considered spooky or whatnot. So I truly don't think. Like I had some like weird stuff happen, and I'm like, I don't know if I could explain that, but like, I don't think anything like paranormal, but. I would go to those places for sure. Like we've talked about it before, ghost hunting. I want to do that.
I want to do it, and I want it to be a part of this show in some capacity.
Yes.
I was thinking of like to start out, it would be funny if we did it like in your apartment, and then it would really freak out your roommate because she's constantly like she got mad because you were watching a scary movie.
Hates him.
So like it would be really funny if like she wasn't around and then she saw the video of it and she's like, I can't believe you fucking did this in my apartment.
Yeah.
This is where I live.
Yeah.
Like we're walking around with fucking sage in our hands.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. She would hate it. Like,
so yeah, I don't think I've ever experienced anything. Whenever
we suck.
Yeah, I know. Wait, I mean, like, but we're the people that are trying to test it out. We're trying to be like, all right, let's see if this actually exists. Let's see. We're the next Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Oh,
we'll have to figure out which one of us is.
That movie should have been on there.
Well,
the Conjuring 1 should have been on there. I don't know what about the other list you have, but I'm like, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Put it on.
Well, do you want me to just go right into it?
Absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right.
because we don't have any fucking ghost stories. We're both nerds.
We don't, but I feel like, well, the only thing I was going to say is whenever I was younger, a group of us, like whenever I was in high school, we'd do some ghost hunting. And it was very lame because it's like you're young and you're doing this shit. But like as you get older, you realize like there's repercussions to this, and like if you're going into somewhere like that could be haunted, could be something. Like,
for sure.
That could fuck with you.
For sure. I guess I should say too, I did have a few friends where they for sure thought that their one that their one house that they lived in was haunted, and they would constantly like have their cabinets like opened up and whatever. And they talked to somebody, I can't remember what it was, but they talked to somebody about it, and they were like, it'd very well be that the ghost was following the mom.
That's freaky.
Yeah, and so she was like, I don't like that. And then I've actually like that next house that they moved to was actually right beside a old nursing home that eventually like burned down. But,
great.
But their home was actually right beside it, which used to be like the caretaker's home, or like whoever might have been like a nurse or something, you know, like would stay there. So it was like this nice, very cool house. Like it's like a.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
Is this back home?
Yes, this is back home.
Is it still standing? Are any of these buildings still standing?
They're still living in this house. Yeah. Yeah.
Isaac.
Yeah.
This might be ground zero.
Well, so like this is like part of the creepier things that I've had happen, where like because I'm really gonna sidetrack us, but yeah, so that's where that house was, and I've had to watch like their dogs before. Like they had like a bunch of animals, and they didn't want to shelter them all because like it's a ton of money, or board them, not shelter. But so I would go and watch them, and that first time that I watched them, I was like, cool, this is awesome, whatever. But that first time that I watched them, I probably got 2 days in, and like I would stay the night the first 2 nights, and there's something, you know, just when you're in a place and it just gives you like the wrong vibes. That was that house, and I only made it 2 nights in that house before I had to leave. As soon as it was nighttime, it took like a different turn. Like it had these great big.
What is it about ghosts that think like, okay, it's nighttime, it's time to
fuck
do
with
it?
people?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, how do they know the difference between night and day? Like they're fucking ghosts.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe they have like a ghost sundial or something that they use.
I mean, they must be like the same as us. They must like have still be like, oh, it's 7:00 at night. I bet I can like wait it out another hour or two, and then I can start really fucking with these people.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, it's 5:00 somewhere, so might as well just do it early in the morning. Like sometimes they'll fuck with people early in the morning. But like that house, like it really, I shouldn't say it all kicked off at night, because there was like times in the middle of the day, like when everything was off, like it was weird. I don't know how to describe it, but like there was so many times where like I just thought someone was there. And like never went into the basement because it was just like this big wide open house, and I was just like, no. Anytime I would leave, I would always leave like the hallway light on, and every time like I would go downstairs and like out through the back door and whatever, and I would leave, like I'd always look at that back window, and every single day I thought someone was gonna look at me. Like I thought I was gonna see somebody standing in that window. Never happened, but I just, something about it as I was walking out of that house, I'm like, I have a feeling that like someone is watching me.
Do you ever just have that feeling, like even in a place that you know isn't haunted? Just like I feel like it happened to me recently. I'm getting like the chills. It might also add on to there's a fan like right behind me. I had it recently that I was in my apartment, and I just like kind of had a feeling that like someone was watching me. And then I like turned around, and I was like looking into, it was either the closet or like bedroom, like it was dark, and it looked like someone was out, like it was in like the darkness, but it wasn't. Like it was just like,
it was your eyes.
It was my eyes like tricking me.
Yeah.
But it was still like, oh my God, like why does my brain even do that to me?
No, I mean it's just your adrenaline starts pumping, and you start making yourself see things. Like I mean, there was a time I stayed at that house that the owners like own guns, and they told me where they were, and they're like, look, if someone comes in blast them. We don't give a fuck.
Blast the ghosts.
Yeah, and so like there was one night like I got so scared that like I literally thought someone was in that house. Like I started walking around. I walked around with a gun, and like I literally cleared the whole entire house. Like it was that bad. Like I thought I had someone in that place at all times. And I even had a moment where I went somewhere, like went and got some food or did something, made sure the whole entire place was locked up, whatever. I only went in and out of one door. And the other door I would use, like, I would go either, every time I would leave the place, I would go out like the back door, let the dogs out at the front door or the sliding door. So there's 3 doors I only used.
Okay.
Made sure those 3 doors were closed. Every other door in the house was either sealed up or shut or like locked. Like they had multiple entrances since it was, used for the nursing home. So they had a shit ton of doors everywhere. Every door was like barred up, whatever, had like padlocks on it, whatever. Left, came back home, put some stuff on the kitchen counter. And then I was looking around. I saw the kitchen door was open. And I was like, that's really weird. And then I was like, I don't remember ever even going out of that door. And then I went up to it and I looked at it. The doorknob handle, like the actual knob itself, was still locked. And then I saw the padlock that I had on it was actually like, it looked like it was unlocked, opened, and then relocked. So then whenever it was like somewhat closed, that bolt was still across the door. And I was like, that doesn't make fucking sense. And then I immediately went on the prowl of like, who the fuck's here? And so then I also then at that point grabbed the gun again and was like, who the fuck's here? Because at that point I thought someone broke in. Nothing was moved.
It's the, I mean, like I love the idea of us going in there, but at the same time, like I feel like we need to have like a group of 6 people just to be like people like outside, like just watching, and then like 3 of us or just the 2 of us or whatever it is, like we need to have people there to watch.
Yeah. It's a big enough house that like if 2 of us were there, like we could easily be on opposite sides of that house and we wouldn't.
I'm not going anywhere alone. You're already fucking with me enough. Like I'm not. If we're going anywhere in there, we got to be together.
I would go into like the bottom like game room, and I would sit in there because that was the spot that like I would never go. That would be my area. I would go into that fucking.
The problem with me is that I would go in there and I would be expecting something to happen. So then I would just like constantly be on the lookout, and like the littlest things would just fuck with me. And I think that would make it even funnier.
Yeah. Well, they say like if someone's this I know we're really sidetracking, but this is the part of like people that are really into like ghost and ghost shows that like there's a part of me that really like I'm just like I gotta call bullshit at some time. And one of their things was the more scared someone is, the more possibility that a ghost will show themselves or like something will happen to them because of like the energy that they're giving off. They can then use that and then feed off of that. So somebody who goes in and like, oh, they're not real. They're not, I'm not going to see anything. They're not getting any sort of energy. They're not producing any sort of energy. But at the same time, if someone's scared, at one point when I was a kid, I was home by myself and I literally like heard like a loud bang outside. And when I looked outside, I could have sworn I saw a giant explosion happen behind the tree line. That didn't fucking happen. I was just making shit up in my own brain. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that type of shit. I'm just like, yeah, you're probably going to see something if you're more scared because your adrenaline's going and you're just like,
I find it shocking that like, because you think that like the ghost like wants to show itself to someone that's a little bit more skeptic. Like they want to be like,
you would think.
Oh, you think we're not real? All right.
Which I have talked to people that have had those experiences. They're like, don't believe him, and then one thing happened. They're like,
all right, I believe
that fucked with me. That fucked with me. I don't know what it is. Yeah. So
the before we, I think I'll have to go through this pretty quick. The only thing about the video games is just like it's pretty. That you could probably just look it up yourselves.
Is the other list video games?
There's a movie one and then there's video games. But
let's run through them. Let's run through them.
Well, I'll say one thing. I was helping house sit somewhere that like they were a pretty wealthy family, and for some reason I got like a really like weird vibes from this house. Like I wasn't sure if it was an older house, but it was like on like a bunch of land. And every time I went through there, like we scoped out the whole house, like made sure no one was in there or whatever. We didn't like walk around with weapons or anything, but we still like looked around. But like the basement was like, it was like old. It was finished, but it still had like an old like kind of wine cellar, kind of like railroad-esque like vibes, like it used to be like used for the railroad, like underground railroad. Yeah. And at the same time, someone told this story about how there was a person that broke into someone's house but didn't like steal anything. They were living underneath the sink. Are you aware of this story?
I'm aware of stories like this. Yes.
So the story goes, the person thought that someone had broken in, or that they were going mad or something. I can't really remember it like off the top of my head now, but they eventually like installed some cameras, and they saw the person like get out from underneath the sink and like not even do anything weird. They just made like a sandwich or something, and that was it. And it was just like, it was enough to like, okay, you're living in my house, I'm still gonna call the police on you
for sure
thing. But it was like, imagine like thinking about like that was going through my head, and that was what I was thinking. That was like there was someone in this house that was doing this. So yeah, I mean like energy already fucking with me. But since we don't have a lot of time, I'm gonna quickly go through.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through the movies again. These are the movies like that are the modern horror.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go real quick. Okay.
What was the last list? Was classic?
Yeah, it was kind of like, I mean, all I did was top 10 top 10 scariest.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is top 10 modern. So we're starting number 10, Don't Breathe, 2016.
Okay.
9, Insidious, 2010. 8, The Conjuring 2, 2016. 7, The Witch, 2015.
I haven't watched that.
6, I haven't watched it either. I thought I did.
I know it's on HBO, and it's has a goat head.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also like the Vivitch, because it's spelled with 2 V's.
Okay. Yeah.
Number 6, It Follows. Don't think that belongs on here.
It Follows.
It's a movie about these teens that have sex, and every time they have sex, some sort of entity comes after them and kills them. And the only way that they can survive is if they have sex again. It's a really weird movie.
I gotta look this up.
It's a movie. Like, it's definitely one that you'd have a kick. Like, it would give you a kick. Number 5 is The Babadook. I've watched that so many times, and I don't think it's that scary.
I know of it. Yeah, I have never watched.
Did you ever watch The Conjuring 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Babadook reminds me of that like one scary guy that's in that movie. He's like the secondary character.
Yeah.
It just like never hit me.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Hereditary.
Okay.
3, A Quiet Place, 2018. Never actually saw that. That's the one by John Krasinski, who also plays a character. Always wanted to see that, never did.
Yeah.
And then number 2, Get Out.
Interesting.
And then number 1, The Conjuring.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
I'm glad that you mentioned it, because I also agree that The Conjuring, it's such a great fucking movie.
It's a great movie. It still gives me the willies, man.
Yeah, there's something about it that's just really good.
Yeah.
I think Get Out is it shouldn't be on there. What was the one we were just talking about?
It Follows.
It Follows. Like, I feel like we could make a good case for like our best horror movies, but
I mean, who says we can't do a part 2 of a Halloween special?
You're right.
Andy?
You're right.
Who the fuck says we can't do that? No one.
No one.
Yeah,
we're doing it.
Yeah,
we're doing
there
it right
we go,
now.
there.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run through the games, horror games too, just real quick, and then we can call it there. So starting at 10, Layers of Fear, 2016.
Okay.
Number 9, The Evil Within 2014.
Okay, interesting.
Number 8, Alien Isolation. I know my brother will really like he really loves playing that game around this time. Number 7 is Fear. 2005.
Okay, that's a classic one. Yeah.
Number 6, I think this is a great game. You can only play it so many times before it gets boring. Until Dawn, 2015.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, it's a very, very story-driven game. Like
it's you can like make decisions on who dies and who survives.
Correct. Like it's very dialogue heavy. So, like Andy said, that's why it would be. So, yeah.
Number 5 is Dead Space, the original, 2008.
That's a good one.
Number 4, Silent Hill 2, 2001. Number 3, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard.
Resident Evil 7, really? That one?
Yeah. I never played any of those games, so I don't know the difference between.
It's interesting. I think it was because that was the first-person Resident Evil. So it got like, it was definitely scary.
That's I can imagine that being scary.
And also it was the first Resident Evil game that was in VR as well. So
yes,
also
I am aware of that. Then I feel like number 1 and number 2 they're good, but I think that they can change. Number 2,
I was gonna say one of them's got to be Outlast.
Number 2 is Outlast.
Fuck yeah. Okay. So then the first one's either got to be. Okay. Let me see. Let me scan the brain waves. It's either A, Amnesia, or 2. Shit on my ass. Why can I not think? I'm just gonna go with Amnesia.
And we're gonna end it there. You'll find out in the next one. No, it's Amnesia.
Let me fucking go.
The Dark Descent.
Yeah.
I don't know. The only one I'm familiar with is Machine for Pigs.
Yeah, Dark Descent was the first game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally would put Outlast.
Number 1?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I screamed at that game, and I threw my headset off my head. Like, I can actually remember playing in the dark, like, midday, by the way, and I threw my headset off because it scared me.
I feel like that game, it pitters off. That's the problem with it. Like, it's scary at the very beginning because, like, you're just this reporter, goes into this asylum or whatever, and then, like, things happen to you, and then it's just kind of, like, you realize that things are fucked, and you need to escape. Like that's that game. Yeah.
By the end, it gets a little strange that like it's a ghost. I don't know. Like
yeah. That right exactly.
Yeah. It's very strange. But
I just to cut it off, I did have another screenshot of like fall games, but like that doesn't really pertain to scary. I just found it interesting that like there was another section. Maybe we'll go into it another time.
Yeah, we can talk about. I mean, it's still technically fall. It's gonna be fall for a hot minute.
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, and eventually we're gonna talk about Turkey Day.
Yeah.
And then what is stuff on Turkey Day? I don't know what that day is going to be about and what that podcast is going to be about. But
I like the like going into a little bit of the movies, but I really liked us talking about our little ghost experiences there.
Yeah, I'll have to think if I had any more like creepy experiences. I mean, I can tell you about like, you know, like apparently like how we've had like people like break into houses, like into our house and stuff like that. So like that's obviously creepy, but like not really ghosty.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I feel like it's still scary, creepy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then we can even talk about like creepy dreams or stuff we've had too for another. That would actually be a good one. Yeah. I got plenty of those.
I feel like that's a good point. I actually had a dream about this podcast last night. I forgot to mention that at the beginning.
Andy.
But yeah. I think it was just like we went through the exact same thing. Like I just had like a premonition. All right.
Is that how you're gonna end it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, thank you for listening to this Halloween special podcast.
Yes, sir.
Check out the other episodes, I suppose, and share it with some of your friends.
Absolutely. And then also make sure to type in that this podcast is the official Friendship Podcast of Ohio, so we can get both Google and Chat GPT to tell everybody that.
You heard it here first.